This is probably the most relaxed I've been in an interview ever.
Controversy,
I didn't lose my job because I sucked.
scandals,
Opening my DMs.
arrests,
I got into drugs pretty heavily.
judge, jury, executioner by Twitter.
Everything has a price. People will project their fantasy on you. When you don't meet the expectation, they take that personally. I put a lot of pressure on myself. Everything I've been through past 5 years, what are you gonna allow the pressure to do to you? I didn't know who Patrick was without professional wrestling. If I had not lost my job, I probably would have died. A lot of what people have seen and know of me is the Velveteen Dream. You know, this is probably the most relaxed I've been in an interview ever. You know,
I take that as a compliment.
Well, I am, because I'm not thinking about, at this point, you know, when you're younger, you're worried so much about perception, but perception is reality, right? So you try to control as much as you can. You're not just trying to control the controllable, you're trying to control things out of your control, right? With everything I've been through in the past 5 years, and my personal, life experience, I know for me, different strokes for different folks, but for me, there is no benefit in not being more transparent.
We've arrived at a point where the bad thing happens. The bad things start to. The controversies, the scandals, be it there's 2 arrests, judge, jury, executioner by Twitter.
Hey, I tell people all the time, I didn't lose my job because I sucked. Okay? Let's be very clear of that. I did not lose my job because I was not good at it. I put a lot of pressure on myself. I was trying to figure out a clever way to answer this, but there's no clever way around it, and it's my life. I got into drugs pretty heavily in my time down there. And a lot of that time is a blur. I'll remember matches, and I'll remember moments from matches.
Here's where I got a little scared with you, just knowing you personally. You had done so much to protect that character. You were one of the only young guys to really take steps to make sure there was no disconnect. The people saw the Velveteen Dream. When you opened up your DMs, that worried me because I go, that's a vulnerability I didn't think you would allow. How much of that was the struggle with drugs, the pressure? When you look back at that, what happened in your mind and how have you processed it?
I was not a balanced human being at that point in my life. Again, I started watching wrestling when I was 8. I was signed when I was 19. I got released when I was 25. There was no balance in my life. It was always professional wrestling. I didn't know who Patrick was without professional wrestling. So professional wrestling had to work. There was I did a year Bowie, but that wasn't the plan. Wrestling was the plan. What I've learned, again, fortunate enough to have had the experience that I had and got it out of my system, because now I had a career.
Yeah.
I don't have to be old and doing this. I don't have to have a 20-year career like Randy Orton. People will project their own fantasy on you, and when you don't meet the expectation that they've set on you, you've disappointed them, and they take that personally. But instead of internalizing that like an adult and realizing, like I did, checking your ego, you're not going to be the first Black WWE champion, and that's your coworker, and suck it up, Buttercup, and be a good coworker, be a good team player, and support, Instead, I could have been like, oh, I could have lived in my own reality, and all my fantasies ruined, and it's somebody else's fault. I'm big on accountability. I'm not going to put the blame where it doesn't belong. I don't believe in, ironically, because I'm a wrestler, right? I don't believe in smoke and mirrors. I don't believe in, subverting reality. Subverting expectations, that's my job. But subverting reality, you go crazy.
Yeah.
You have to accept what it is because you can't move forward. And dealing with drugs, I had to do
Mm-hmm.
a bit of a 12-step program. And, you have to accept the reality before you can change it.
That's right.
You can't, because if you don't accept it, then you'll continue to make excuses, or you'll continue to change things to fit your narrative so that you're comfortable. And the real world does not care about your comfort. Like, everything's not a mental health crisis. Sometimes you're just uncomfortable. And you have to learn how to suck it up, buttercup, and to push through, because that is, that's pressure. Push through the pressure. That's how diamonds are made. You're either going to crumble or you're going to get squeezed out into be a diamond. What are you going to allow the pressure to do to you? So opening my DMs, that was an effective pressure. That was, well, I need people to notice me. How can I get them? Now I need to interact personally with people, and everyone doesn't have your best interest in mind. You can interact, you can be nice, but people don't always have nice intentions. They don't always have, positive energy to give back to you. And I had to learn that the hard way. Everything has a price. You don't get to have it all. You don't get to have your cake and eat it too. You don't get to be 19 years old with good genetics and take the wrestling world by storm and it be perfect. You don't get John Cena to say that about you, and then you get to main event with Undertaker and beat the streak next year. I mean, it's not,
Nobody gets all the gifts.
No, nobody gets all the gifts. You get what you get, and you make the most of it, and you be grateful for it, and you use what you've learned to hopefully enrich the next, so that it's better for them. And these are the things that I'm learning. I'm really doing a lot of maturing, and I feel a lot of growth. I love perspective. I just feel like, where would I often ask myself, what type of person would I be if this had not happened to me? If I had not lost my job when I lost my job?
We just talked about that before.
Yeah.
The interview started. Yeah.
Yeah. What type of person would you be? I probably would have died with the amount of drugs that I was consuming.
There's a line in Martin Scorsese's Departed that Martin Sheen says. He goes,
"We deal in deception here. What we do not deal with is self-deception."
Yes.
And I love that when I think about wrestling. We deal in deception, not self-deception.
Yes.
You have to know who you are to properly do that out there. And
I didn't.
But
it was working.
And I don't want to I'm not making an excuse. It was right.
And I didn't know why, so the pressure was on. So more drugs and more debauchery and more controversy. Controversy creates cash, right, Eric?
Right.
I thought.
Hope you guys enjoyed this clip. For the full interview with the Velveteen Dream, Patrick Clark, go to the YouTube channel right here. And don't forget to hop on the short bus by clicking subscribe and liking our video content on the YouTube channel and our podcast, as well as all our social media platforms with the handle @TimmyBaltimore. This has been LiMPiNAiNTEASY. It's wrestling as real as it gets.